The stage is glowing under the bright studio lights. The cameras are rolling. The audience is buzzing with excitement. They've come expecting laughter, celebrity gossip, and a few heartwarming moments. It's just another episode of the Steve Harvey Show, or so they think. Steve Harvey walks across the stage with his signature smile and cue cards in hand. He's expecting to keep it light, fun, entertaining. What he doesn't know is, tonight, he's the one who's going to break down in front of millions. Then it happens. Keanu Reeves steps out from behind the curtain. The crowd erupts. The so-called last good guy in Hollywood walks with his usual humility. Plain black blazer, jeans, no entourage, no ego. Just Keanu. He takes his seat beside Steve. Quiet, calm, gracious. Steve Harvey cracks a joke. The audience laughs, but Keanu isn't laughing. His eyes are fixed on something, a crucifix hanging from Steve's neck. Keanu Reeves leans in slightly. His voice is low, controlled, but heavy. "Can I tell you something I've never said in public?" The laughter dies. The room stiffens. Steve raises an eyebrow but says nothing. He nods. And in that moment, everything changes. Because what Keanu says next will not only leave Steve Harvey speechless, it will leave him in tears. And the entire studio, silent, holding its breath, about to witness a revelation that no one, not even the cameras, were prepared for. The applause has faded. The audience settles in, expecting the usual jokes, playful banter, maybe a funny behind-the-scenes story from Keanu's movie sets. Steve glances down at his cue cards, ready to move the conversation along. But something about Keanu's silence lingers. "Steve Harvey. So, you've played hitmen, prophets, even time travelers. But in real life, you're quiet, man. What's going on in that head of yours?" He chuckles, trying to lighten the mood. The audience laughs with him, but Keanu Reeves doesn't respond right away. He's staring at Steve's chest again, at the small silver crucifix resting against his shirt. "Steve Harvey. You good, man?" Keanu Reeves. "Yeah, it's just..." He pauses. His voice is calm, but there's weight in it. "That cross. It reminds me of something I've tried to forget." The audience quiets again, but Steve doesn't catch the gravity. He smiles, still in host mode. "Steve Harvey. Well, I don't wear it for decoration, if that's what you're wondering." The words hang awkwardly in the air. A few people in the audience chuckle nervously. The warmth is slipping. Keanu Reeves. "No, I didn't think you did." He's trying to be respectful, but there's a flicker of pain behind his eyes. Steve shifts in his seat, suddenly uncomfortable. The control he always holds on stage, it's starting to slip. "Steve Harvey. Okay, let's pull it back. Let's talk about the new movie. That's why you're here, right?" Keanu Reeves. "I'm here because I said yes to your invitation, but that cross, I think maybe that's why I stayed." The studio goes still again. The air is thicker now. Keanu hasn't raised his voice, hasn't made a scene, but the balance has shifted. Steve looks around the room, as if to see if the crew is still following his lead. But they're not. They're watching Keanu. For the first time on his own show, Steve Harvey isn't the one steering the moment, and he knows it. Steve Harvey clears his throat, a touch too loud. 8. Let's not get too deep now. People came to smile today. He forces a grin. The audience chuckles on cue, but not as freely as before. Keanu's eyes don't flinch. His stillness is louder than words. "Steve Harvey, you know how it is, man. Folks going through stuff. We gotta keep them laughing, give them an escape." There's a flicker in Keanu's gaze. Something between disappointment and understanding. Keanu Reeves. Sometimes they don't need an escape. Sometimes they need the truth. Steve Harvey. Truth can wait till Sunday morning. This is Thursday night TV, baby. The line is meant to be funny, a reset, but it lands wrong. Keanu lowers his head slightly. It's not embarrassment, it's restraint, like a man deciding whether to speak or stay silent. Steve Harvey. I get it, you deep, you introspective. But not everybody tunes in for therapy, bro. The audience shifts. That last part? It stung. Not just for Keanu, but for anyone who's ever been dismissed for feeling too much. Keanu Reeves looks up slowly. I'm not here to give therapy. I'm here because your voice once saved me. The studio falls quiet again. Steve Harvey. Look, man, if this is about some old clip from YouTube, don't give me that credit. I just say stuff, that's what I do. He's defensive now. Laughing, but it's thin. The crowd isn't sure whether to follow. Keanu Reeves. I know, and that's exactly why it meant something. Steve leans back, tries to laugh again, but the confidence is draining. He's used to being the one with answers, the punchlines, the power. But in this moment, as Keanu's quiet truth fills the space, Steve Harvey starts to realize this isn't his stage anymore. It belongs to the message, and it's coming whether he's ready or not. The tension is undeniable now. There's no music, no banter, no laughs echoing through the studio walls. Just a quiet weight pressing down on the room. Steve shifts in his chair, his eyes scanning the crew, the audience, the teleprompter, anywhere but Keanu's face. Steve Harvey tries to reclaim the moment. All right, we're getting a little heavy here, let's lighten it up. For the folks at home, man. What's next for John Wick? More headshots, less feelings? A few audience members chuckle nervously, but Keanu doesn't smile. He leans back slightly, hands resting on his lap. Calm, but cut deeper than anyone realizes. Keanu Reeves. I'm not sure how to answer that. I came here thinking this conversation would be different. Steve Harvey. Different how? Keanu Reeves. Real. Steve's smile falters. He laughs again, but this time it's hollow. You trying to tell me I'm fake now? He says it like a joke, but there's sharpness underneath. The crowd reacts, unsure whose side they're supposed to be on. Steve Harvey leans into the discomfort. Come on, Keanu. You're the nice guy, right? Mr. Peaceful. You don't do drama. You don't do confrontation. Let's not switch up. Now just because a chain triggered you. Gasps ripple through the studio. Keanu looks away. Not in anger, in heartbreak. The crucifix glints under the lights, and for a brief second, the audience sees it. The man who's given millions hope, now sitting there, being dismissed for trying to share his truth. Steve Harvey smirks, unaware of the damage he's done. I'm just saying, this ain't church, bro. It's daytime television. A silence drops over the room like a veil. Keanu Reeves closes his eyes, and in that moment, the humiliation is complete. He didn't come for applause. He didn't come for sympathy. He came to honor something sacred, and now, it's been laughed off. The laughter has died. The camera zooms in slowly on Keanu, still sitting still, but something has changed in his eyes. Not broken, not bitter, but awakened. Keanu Reeves opens his eyes and lifts his head. His voice is softer now, almost reverent. There was a night. I didn't think I'd see the morning. Steve Harvey goes quiet. Keanu Reeves. I had lost everything, my daughter, my partner, my faith. I was alone, completely, until I came across a clip. It was you, on a stage, wearing that crucifix. The audience stirs. Whispers begin to rise. A few people recognize the reference. Some are now leaning forward in their seats. Keanu Reeves. You weren't preaching. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You were just speaking your truth. He pauses, looks directly at Steve. Keanu Reeves. And in that moment, a stranger across the world saw something that felt like a sign. Steve Harvey frowns slightly, confused. What clip? Keanu Reeves. I watched it 3 times that night. You said, if you're still breathing, God's not finished with you yet. Gasps fill the air. Steve stares at Keanu, his lips parting, but no words come out. Keanu Reeves. That line pulled me out of bed. It reminded me that I wasn't forgotten, that maybe God still had something for me to do. The studio is silent now. Even the cameramen stop moving. The weight of the moment crushes every distraction. Keanu Reeves. That's why I'm here, today. Not for promotion, not for publicity, but to return what you gave me when I had nothing left. He glances once more at the crucifix, and suddenly, it's not just jewelry. It's the thread that stitched a broken man back together. Keanu Reeves. That cross saved me, through you. And just like that, Steve Harvey is no longer the one holding the spotlight. The room has shifted. The power is no longer in performance. It's in truth. Steve Harvey stares at Keanu. His hand instinctively reaches for the crucifix on his chest. But for once, he has no joke, no segue, no escape. Keanu Reeves sits calmly, no anger in his voice, just presence. You thought I came here to talk about movies, but I came here to remind you of something I think you've forgotten. Steve Harvey, still struggling to process. Forgotten? Keanu Reeves. You didn't know it then, but your pain had purpose. And your voice? It was more than entertainment. It was a lifeline. Steve shifts in his chair again. That familiar confidence, his shield, is cracking. Steve Harvey. I was just talking, man. I never meant to inspire nobody. Keanu Reeves. That's exactly why you did. He lets the words linger, not dramatic, just true. The audience feels it. The studio lights feel softer now, less like a show, more like a sanctuary. Keanu Reeves. There are people in this room, watching this, who are carrying silent battles. And today, they're not just watching a show, they're witnessing what grace looks like. Steve Harvey looks away, then back. His eyes glisten, but his pride holds steady. I'm not perfect, Keanu. I've made mistakes. I don't deserve to be anyone's inspiration. Keanu Reeves. That's why you are. Steve flinches. The words hit deeper than applause ever could. Keanu Reeves. You never needed a pulpit to preach. You just needed a mic and the courage to speak through your pain. He leans forward slightly. Keanu Reeves. And now it's time, someone said. It back to you. The crowd doesn't clap, they don't cheer, they listen, because they can feel it. The balance has shifted. Keanu isn't just reclaiming the moment, he's redeeming it. Steve Harvey leans forward, elbows on his knees, trying to hold it together. You really remembered all that? That old video, Keanu? Reeves. I remembered every word. Because I wasn't just watching you, Steve, I was being lifted by you. Steve Harvey shakes his head slowly. I was broken too, man. That clip? I recorded it after one of the worst nights of my life. I wasn't trying to help anybody, and I was just trying to survive. Keanu Reeves. And that's why it worked. Because you weren't performing. You were bleeding truth. He stands now. Not dramatically. Just with quiet purpose. Keanu Reeves. You think you're just a comedian with a mic, but you're not. You're a minister in disguise. The audience stirs. A few people are visibly emotional. Even some of the crew behind the cameras pause. Steve Harvey stands too, almost defensively. I'm not trying to be anyone's preacher, man. That's not who I am. Keanu Reeves. You don't have to try. That's the point. He takes a slow step forward, eyes steady but gentle. Keanu Reeves. God doesn't always use the polished, he uses the available, he uses the broken, the real. Steve Harvey. Swallows hard, his voice cracks. Steve Harvey. Why me? Out of everyone God could have used. Why me? Keanu Reeves pauses, breathes deep, then says it plainly, powerfully. Keanu Reeves. Because people don't need perfection. They need permission to feel, to fall, and to get back up. And you, Steve, you gave that to me. Steve lowers his head. No words, just silence. The kind that only arrives when ego surrenders to truth. Keanu doesn't press him. He doesn't have to. The confrontation is over. And for the first time in the interview, Steve Steve Harvey has nothing left to defend. The silence in the studio is no longer awkward, it's holy. The kind of silence that follows a revelation, a reckoning. And at the center of it stands a man who once made the world laugh, now visibly shaken by a truth too raw to dismiss. Steve Harvey looks down at the crucifix on his chest, the same one he once wore as a quiet statement of belief. But today, it's become something else, a mirror. His voice breaks before it even begins. Steve Harvey, I forgot. He stops, chokes back a breath. Steve Harvey, I forgot what this was for. I wore it every day, but I stopped listening to the reason I put it on in the first place. His fingers tighten around it. The audience watches, no one moving, no one daring to interrupt. Keanu Reeves steps forward gently. You didn't forget, Steve. You just got tired. And sometimes, even light needs reminding that it's still shining. Steve Harvey laughs softly, tearfully. Man, I brought you on here to talk about action movies, and you brought me back to God. The audience begins to shift. Some wipe tears, some clasp hands. What was supposed to be a daytime talk show has become a spiritual intervention. Keanu Reeves, you weren't supposed to save anyone today. You were supposed to remember who you already saved. Steve drops his head again. This isn't humiliation. This is healing. The cameras catch a single tear rolling down his cheek, not for performance, but for peace. Steve Harvey, I almost let my gift turn into a gimmick, but God, He didn't let me stay blind, not today. The crowd doesn't cheer. They rise. One by one, the entire studio stands in silence, moved not by fame, but by faith. And in that moment, Steve Harvey is no longer the host. He's the one being ministered to. The air inside the studio feels different now. Not heavy, not electric, but clean, like something has been lifted. Steve Harvey stands still, both hands clasped over the crucifix. He's not looking at the cameras. He's not performing. He's absorbing, healing, reflecting. Keanu Reeves steps back slowly, giving Steve his space. There's no smugness, no "I told you so," just quiet respect for a man who finally took off his mask. Keanu Reeves, your voice changed my life, Steve. I just came here to give that voice back to you. Steve exhales shakily. His eyes meet Keanu's. There's no pride left, but there's something better. Peace. The production crew, usually buzzing with orders and countdowns, stays frozen. Even the floor manager doesn't call cut. No one wants to interrupt the sacred unraveling happening live. Steve Harvey lowers himself back into his chair. Slowly, he wipes his face, but the tears keep coming. Steve Harvey, I've done a lot of interviews, thousands, but this one ain't ever leaving me. There's no audience laughter, just nods, just silence, just understanding. Keanu Reeves turns toward the crowd. No wave, no smile, just a soft nod of acknowledgement. Then he walks off stage. No spotlight follows him. No music plays. But somehow every step echoes. Because this wasn't a guest leaving, a show. This was a man leaving behind a message. And behind him, Steve Harvey sits in the very seat where he once ruled the room. Now humbled, now aware, and now deeply, permanently changed. The cameras keep rolling, but no one dares speak, because for once, in a world built on applause, silence said it all. Long after the cameras stop rolling, long after the audience files out in silence, one man walks into the night lighter than he came in, and another sits in stillness holding a cross that no longer feels like just a chain, but a reminder. Steve Harvey stares at the empty stage. His voice doesn't come right away, but his thoughts do. Steve Harvey. All these years, I thought, my job was to entertain, but maybe it was to remind people they're not alone. He breathes in slow. His fingers brush the crucifix again. This time, not to show it, but to feel it. Because today, someone reminded him that faith doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. Somewhere backstage, Keanu Reeves steps outside into the evening air. No entourage, no flashing lights. Just a quiet man, walking, like he always does, like he's seen too much pain to take peace for granted. He looks up at the sky. It's just a moment, unfilmed, unseen. But it matters because tonight he didn't just share his pain, he turned it into a gift. Keanu Reeves. Sometimes you don't need to change the world. Sometimes you just need to remind someone they still belong in it. And that's what he did. With no performance, no ego, no script, just a message, a memory, and a man who once sat in the dark, now shining light into someone else's. Somewhere in the hearts of every viewer who saw this unfold, a truth now flickers quietly. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I remember what saved me, and I'm here to pass it on. So, if this story meant something to you, subscribe and ring the bell because next time, it might be your story that changes everything.